I knew I was walking into something wrong the moment I read the ticket. Back door only, fronts busted. The kind of line that sounds harmless until it's stapled to a place you've never heard of at the far thin end of a road nobody bothers to pave twice.
Subscribe.
I usually stay inside a Brick and Barrel slinging pies because my insurance won't cover me if I wreck a car on company runs, but every so often I cover a delivery shift for the tip bumps. Our range loops through shiny new cul-de-sacs where every house looks cloned, an old 1940s patchwork village with porches and peeling paint, 2 boxy apartment complexes, a couple trailer clusters sagging on cinder blocks, and long rural stretches where sound dies before it reaches the next mailbox. A week ago, I was cruising. Quick tickets, $5 a stop, short routes, and then this address pops up that doesn't ring any bells, which is weird because our regulars are practically on first-name basis with the store. The kid at the counter says the caller insisted I go around back because the front door doesn't work, like they're mid-renovation or the frame's warped. I roll out anyway, but the farther I drive, the more the house is thin, the darker the gaps between them get, and the less I like the idea of walking behind any building out here where porch lights are optional and help is a rumor. I tell myself to play it smart, scope it when I get there. If the vibe's bad, call the number, claim a company policy about never going behind houses for safety reasons, and bounce. The air is sauna thick, 90-something with the humidity doing push-ups, and the sky is that bruised purplish color just before the day gives up. The address lands near the dead end of a road that always felt like it was losing a fight with the woods. I roll slow, scanning posts for numbers, and pass a house that looks abandoned in the theatrical sense. Set back behind a fringe of trees, no visible address, cracked driveway eaten by weeds, and I think, please not that one. I check the next box to confirm the sequence, do the math in reverse, and my stomach drops. Of course it's that one. Out here, abandoned sometimes translates to nobody's mowing and nobody cares. So I try to take a breath and treat this like any other rough-looking property. I pull in anyway, but stop short, parking with the rear of my car hanging into the lane so anyone passing can't miss it. And I keep the engine running with the driver's door cracked open on purpose, the way you would if you wanted the whole scene to look suspicious from a distance. Then I phone the shop from the driveway. I say, "I'm Eddie, sketchy address. If I don't call you in 5 minutes, ring me. If I don't pick up, call the cops." While I'm talking, I let my eyes inventory the place, and the longer I look, the less this reads like rough, and the more it screams nobody's lived here in years. No mailbox, no trash cans by the road, no oil stains where a car might sit, no bikes, no hose, no plastic toys bleached by the sun, no garden beds, no wind chimes, no welcome mat, all those tiny signs of people. The yard isn't just tall, it's feral. The roof shingles have curled up like fish scales, the siding is molting, the back deck wraps around the side but sags as if someone took a bite out of the joists. And the only part that looks halfway intact is the supposedly non-functional front door.
Subscribe.
Every window is shut tight, and even though the heat is smothering, blinds sealed and a few panes are literally boarded from the inside. There's no electric meter hum, no overhead service drop, and as dusk settles, not a whisper of interior light. The air around the place feels stale in the way that has nothing to do with the weather, like the house is holding its breath. I tell myself it's probably some out-there homeowner with a weird taste for privacy who just wants a pizza on the back stoop, but my hands are slick on the box anyway. I set the pie on my forearm, phone in the other hand, and dial the number from the ticket as I step toward the porch. It rings twice and kicks over to a robotic message informing me the number belongs to a free texting app, one of those throwaway internet lines people use when they don't want a callback. That's not a flag, that's a flare gun in the night. All the survival parts of my brain start yelling at once. I consider turning on my heel, but there's that pride thing, the don't be the jumpy guy who can't hack it thing, and I gave the front windows one last hopeful look like a normal person might lift a blind and wave. Something moves. A slat of the blind next to the front door slides up a finger's width, and a face slots into the gap. A man with a ball cap pulled so low it shadows his eyes, and oversized sunglasses that make no sense at dusk in a house with no lights. He shouldn't need shades to protect him from the dark, and yet there he is, hiding behind glass in a dead place, looking straight at me. Behind his shoulder, just for a beat, there's another shape, bigger, squared at the edges. Maybe it's a person, maybe it's my nerves turning shadows into men, but my body reads it as weight in the room. The guy sees me seeing him and his mouth moves around a word I can't catch. Then he peels away from the window in the direction of the front door. Yes, the same broken door he insisted I ignore. I don't wait to learn the punchline. I'm already close to my car because I stayed close on purpose, so I drop the box onto the passenger seat, unforgivable in my world, greasy cardboard on a clean chair, and slam the door, crush the lock button, and stuff the stick into reverse before the clutch is all the way in. The gearbox complains, the clutch bleats, the tires skip over gravel, and I shoot backward onto the road without properly checking for cross traffic, which is stupid, but so is getting lured behind a house with 2 silhouettes and a throwaway number. When I look back, the outer screen door is yawning open like a mouth I want nothing to do with. The inner door is still shut, and the window is once again a blank square. Nobody runs out yelling, "Hey, you forgot the pizza." Nobody blinks up porch light or waves a cash-stuffed hand. I continue up the road to a safer pull-off, take a breath that tastes like hot coins, and call the shop to say I'm okay and on my way back. They don't get a call asking for the missing food. Real customers track their pies like they're waiting on oxygen. These people never checked in, never asked, never complained. Back at the store, I explain it all. The backdoor script, the hollow house, the blind twitch, the internet number, and nobody laughs it off. We've heard rumors lately of hometown trouble rolling out this way. Home invasions, opportunistic robberies, a few ugly stabbings that made the local pages. And even though the town likes to pretend nothing bad can cross the county line, the truth is, bad things don't respect maps. We add the address and the number to our no delivery list, move the pie to the break table, and the tension in my shoulders doesn't drain so much as harden into a knot that rides home with me.
Subscribe.
I keep replaying the almosts. The almost where I circle to the back and find a door propped open by a brick. The almost where a shape steps out from behind the deck boards. The almost where a blade glints and a voice tells me to hand over everything that matters, and some things that don't. Logic tells me I probably would have just been shoved and shaken down, and that the money isn't even mine. Yet the primitive part of me won't stop asking about the other branches. What if they pushed me inside? What if nobody saw my car with its door open? What if the only evidence I left behind was a grease ring on my passenger seat and a ticket with a fake number? I've worked enough shifts to know how quickly a routine can sour, how easily a good tip night can tilt into a story you tell with your jaw clenched. And I'm still chewing on the last 30 seconds of that driveway. The second the blind moved, the second the sunglasses found me, the second my foot decided we were done. I keep thinking, if they'd picked the house that didn't look like a set from a cautionary tale, just a quiet ranch with a working porch light, a mowed yard, some forgettable garden gnome, would I have walked all the way to the back without a second thought? And how long would anyone have wondered where I went once the pie got cold and the night finished swallowing the road? If you thought delivering to a lifeless house in the woods was terrifying, wait until you see what happens when the danger follows you home.
The first ping didn't scare me, the heat did. The second ping taught me what fear actually feels like. It was 7 months back at the height of our brutal summer in Mariner Bay, New South Wales, when the air sat on my skin like a wet towel, and the asphalt outside looked soft enough to take a thumbprint. I live alone on the 3rd floor of a narrow brick walk-up, and with the temperature pushing 35, cooking was out of the question. Walking to get food was a joke, and I don't drive, so I did what I always do, ordered a pizza from a place called Harbor Slice. I'd been drifting around my apartment in a brand new camisole and thin lounge shorts, light, comfy, the kind of outfit I only wear when the sun is chewing through the blinds, and before the doorbell rang, I threw my hair up, grabbed my wallet, and made myself at least semi-presentable because you can't exactly sign for a pie in underwear. The delivery guy was quick, polite, forgettable. A box changed hands. I mumbled thanks, door shut, Netflix on my iPad, the soft comfort of melted cheese and cold water. Nothing weird at all, until later, when I was scrolling Instagram with one knee tucked under me and my phone buzzed with a number I didn't have saved. "Cute outfit tonight," the text read. "You single? Enjoying the heat all alone?" My stomach dropped so fast my hands tingled. No one had seen me in that camisole but the person at my door. I typed, trying to sound braver than I was. "Who is this? How did you get my number?" The reply landed like a fingertip on the back of my neck. "Loved how that camisole clung to you. I can still picture it."
Subscribe.
The details were too clean to be a guess. I slept with the TV on and the chain lock set, telling myself it had to be some idiot fishing for a reaction, until noon the next day when my buzzer sounded while I was in the shower. By the time I wrapped a towel and ran dripping to the door, the hall was empty, but a fresh pizza sat on my mat with a note taped to the box. "Just a little extra from your secret admirer, PD." No knock, no footsteps on the stairwell, just the echo of my own breathing and that smiley note that turned my skin cold. I left the box where it was, slid the deadbolt, and tried to make the apartment smaller. Curtains closed, lights off, phone in my pocket. A few days later, still jumpy, I was killing time on Facebook when a friend request popped up from a name I didn't recognize. The profile looked harmless, memes, quotes, until I scrolled and froze on a photo of me, taken through my living room window from the courtyard at night, the angle low and tilted, my silhouette straightening a cushion on the couch. My chest went tight enough to squeak. Scroll, another post reading, "Nice choice of dress today." Timestamp to the exact afternoon I'd worn a green sundress to bring in a package. Scroll, a shot clearly taken outside my kitchen window, my sink, my dish rack, the little citrus tree on the sill. Then the messages started pouring in through Messenger, like whispering under a door. "You should keep your curtains closed. Hope you like the surprise pizza. You look better in green than blue." My hand shook so hard I couldn't hit call the first 2 tries. When I finally reached the police, I showed them the texts, the photos, the pizza note, and told them I was nearly sure it was a driver from Harbor Slice. They said they'd look into it, but their faces had that careful, tired look that says you're safest when your story fits on a form. I didn't sleep that night. Every light on, every noise cataloged, the curtain edges pinned to the wall with binder clips like a barricade made of office supplies. Days went quiet, but quiet isn't the same thing as safe. I kept catching myself listening for footsteps in the courtyard that never came. A week later, close to midnight, my phone lit the room with a single sentence. "Miss me? I'll be seeing you soon." I forwarded it to the officer's email, handed over screenshots, timestamps, the driver's name and car description I had pried from a bored teenager at the restaurant, then called Harbor Slice and explained everything, voice shaking so bad I had to repeat myself. Within a couple days, the restaurant manager phoned to say the driver, first name Owen, which fit the PD initials only if you blurred your eyes and read the receipt code, was gone from their roster, and the police confirmed they'd identified the sender.
Subscribe.
Later, an officer let slip that he'd been charged for harassment. There was a calm to her voice that made it sound procedural, like an invoice paid. The messages stopped. The friend request vanished. Months have passed without another ping, and I tell myself that means it's over, that the legal gears are finally doing what they were built to do, that the line between my private life and a stranger's lens has been stitched shut again. Yet I still keep my curtains pinned at the corners, I still check the peer hole twice before I touch the chain, and when the buzzer rings in the late heat, I stand very still, counting my own heartbeats, remembering how easily a name you never learned can find its way to your screen, and how quickly a simple delivery can turn a window into a story you never asked to be in.
The shadow on the road was only the beginning. The next story proves that sometimes the real monster already knows your name. He warned me without meaning to, the kind of whisper people make when they're already living with the monster, before he comes back. That sentence chased me down the rutted path harder than my feet did, and I fisted the sweaty tip money like proof I could leave this place, like proof I hadn't wandered into a nightmare that didn't belong to me. I slid into my old Nova, slammed the locks, and turned the key. The engine came up roaring in that moon-drowned quiet, too loud like it would light me up for whatever was listening. I eased onto the lane, gravel ticking under the tires, and the high beams carved tunnels through the switchbacks, black curves braided with drop-offs and nothing in the guardrails but air. For a few miles I tried to sell myself a lie, deliver the pies, go home, sleep, laugh about being dramatic, until the rear view caught a flare of headlights behind me that blinked off as quickly as they appeared, like an eye closing. Maybe a coincidence, I thought, until the shadow of an old pickup slid into my tail like it belonged there, running dark, engine rumbling low and patient, matching my lines through every bend. My palms went slick on the wheel and the crumpled bills stuck to my skin. I fed the gas anyway, felt the Nova complain as the ridge road twisted tighter. No shoulder, no mercy, just black pines in the long fall. The truck eased closer until its grille filled my mirror, a scarred chrome grin that wanted to climb into my trunk. I snapped my brights on, nothing. The silhouette didn't flinch. It surged and tapped my bumper, a mean little nudge that rattled my teeth and skittered the car toward the edge, and I had to breathe through the claw on my chest just to keep the line. Flooring it felt like begging to die. I kept my speed where the tires could still think, whispering, "Don't, don't, don't," as if the road could hear me. When the dash lights stuttered, the engine coughed once, twice, then died all at once, and the car went weightless and wrong, rolling ghost quiet down the slope until I fought it into a ditch with nothing but momentum and prayer.
Subscribe.
The first turn of the key gave me a dry click. The second gave me the same empty answer and the sound of the truck grinding closer, its tires chewing gravel until it stopped right behind me like a hand on the back of my neck. Instinct yanked me out of the seat. I pocketed the keys, shoved the door open, and ran into the trees. Branches slapping my face, heat trapped under the needles, trying to make myself small. Voices drifted after me, 2 men. That flat hill country drawl that drags its vowels like a blade. "Saw you at the place. Girl talked to you." Every word caught in my spine like fish hooks. Their flashlights lanced through the dark, caging the trunk, skinning the leaves with white. The beam swept close enough to warm my cheek as I crouched in a throne of brambles and mud, hand shaking so hard I could feel it in my teeth.
When one beam froze inches from my face, the night held its breath with me. Then a coyote ripped a scream off the ridge, high and hysterical, and one of the men cursed. Farther up, he muttered, and the beam swung away. That was the hole in the net. I sprawled forward on my belly, dragging myself through muck and thorns, every inch loud in my head, every breath a dare. The voices thinned, the boots dulled. I kept crawling until gravity took me and I half slid, half stumbled downhill, branches breaking under my knees. At the bottom the trees thinned, and a pale ribbon of asphalt showed its teeth in the first gray smear of morning. I burst onto the shoulder, soaked and shredded, sucking air like I'd been underwater, and windmilled both arms as a log hauler came around the bend. The driver stood on the brakes, eyes going wide, and I clawed at the handle and begged without knowing what words I made. He hauled me up into the cab like I weighed nothing. We rattled off in a haze of diesel, and I looked back once, because of course I did. The pickup sat at the tree line like a thought someone didn't finish, idling without lights, a black shape threaded into the pines. The rest is noise, whatever excuse I fed my manager about a breakdown and spotty service, whatever lie I told myself to get through a shower without jumping at the curtain rings, but I didn't take runs on those roads again. I wasn't supposed to be there, and I got out because I ran before they could decide I'd seen enough to stay. Sometimes late, I still hear a coyote and wonder if it saved me,
Subscribe.
or if something else on that ridge screamed because it knew what those men do when the engine finally goes quiet.